Good day, beloveds, and happy Saturday. Thank you for joining us today. And if you're watching the replay, welcome. I am none other than Danny, your social worker and aromatherapist, where I marry the two to help our overall quality of life and well being. So, welcome. Today, I have the very special pleasure of bringing back one of my faves, one of my YouTube colleagues, YouTube sister, accountability buddies in this YouTube world, in this space. I've had her on a couple of times talking about Black women and building wealth. Well, today is no different. We're going to be talking and chatting about her upcoming summit for Black women that she's having November 16th. So, for those of you who don't know her, let me give you a little synopsis of my sister. So she is Sam of Black Women Build Wealth here on YouTube. She is a solo mama of 3 beautiful kids, a money strategist, an avid investor who reached Coast 5. You say, what is Coast 5? That means she has a fully funded retirement. She's preparing to move abroad in a few years. On her platform, she talks about freedom. And when she means freedom, the one way she has chosen to do that is by helping Black women invest and better manage their money. She also coaches women getting ready to solo parent, okay? And also those who are preparing to give birth abroad. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my sister, Sam, of Black Women Build Wealth. Help me welcome her on, all right? Yay! Got to bring out my pom-pom.
Love that.
How are you doing today,
Oh
my
my
sister?
Hi, Danny. It's been a long, long time. I'm so happy to be back here.
I am happy to have you back. Okay, it is such a pleasure to have you here and talk about your upcoming summit that you're having November 16th, right?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
you had this Black Women Build Wealth Summit last year in November, right? But before we get to that, we just want to give them a little background information here. What led up to you doing all these wonderful things out here in these YouTube streets, right?
Oh
Helping Black
my
women, to accomplish their goals. So we are always talking about, well, I'm talking about when I bring you on, how do we think about why wealth building is important, not just for the sake of having money, right? But
God.
also how it incorporates into your life, right? Having money or lack of finances or stress about finances can bring on health tolls. It can bring on mental stress, it can bring on fatigue, a number of things that, physically that can, um, you know, go on with you when you are thinking about finances. Let's put it out there like that. When you're thinking about finances, your body can take a toll. If you're thinking about it mentally, it can express itself physically. So now, without further ado, tell us about why you started your channel and what prompted you to start it in the first place.
Yeah. So the channel, as you know, it's been 2 years and a half, I think, at this point, that I've had the YouTube channel. And the reason why I started the channel, to be quite honest with you, Danny, is because I like I just wasn't hearing enough of Black women investing and building wealth. Maybe they're doing it and not talking about it, but to be quite honest, in the circles that I was in when we were talking about, building wealth, investing, managing money, very rarely that I will see, a fellow Black sister and being able to talk about that, to talk with that person. So then I started really like, wondering like, where are the Black women building wealth? And for me, it's so important. I mean, building wealth for anyone is important, but I do believe that for Black women in particular, it's really really important. So that's really what actually that was kind of like the main reason why I started the channel. And because I also felt like, I had, a few things that I could share and help other Black women out there who really wanted to build wealth, to actually give them some tips on, how to get that started. And so I've been on on YouTube for since then, and sharing and also really building a community of Black women who are into building wealth. Mhm.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing that. And of course, it didn't start when you just got on YouTube. You've been thinking about building wealth even beforehand. Um,
Mhm.
Apparently, because on your channel, you mentioned that you are Coast Fi. Okay.
Mhm.
And Coast Fi, for those of us who don't know, could you explain a little bit more about what that actually means?
Yeah, no, definitely. So, if anyone is familiar with the FIRE movement, which is, financial independence, retire early,
Mhm.
they will have heard of, different terms representing different milestones when it comes to reaching financial independence. So, of course, reaching financial independence is like the main goal, but there are like also other stages that you can be at, which is still financial, like a representation of financial independence. So, you do have like Lean Fi, Barista Fi. In my case, it's Coast Fi. And so Coast Fi, what that means is essentially that I have contributed enough to my retirement that I don't really need to put any money in my investment at this point. I know that, if the market keeps on, continue doing what it has been doing for the past 50 to 70 years, that I will have a fully funded retirement when time comes, for retirement. And so for me, I guess I put it as age 65. And so honestly, when you think about it, I have been investing for 15 years. So, in the grand scheme of things, it hasn't been that long.
Mhm.
But because I was really consistent, and also, anytime that my salary will increase or I'll have any money extra, I'll just, be throwing out my investment. Today, I have a decent portfolio that, essentially make it optional for me to actually even put a cent in there. So that is actually quite helpful, as you as you have mentioned. I have
Right.
3 young kids now, and so the margin that I had before having kids in terms of my available cash flow, I don't have that margin anymore because daycare and paying for diapers and all of those things. So I feel like it was a good timing for me, and I'm very very happy that I actually started investing early on when I actually got to know about investing to the point that now, yes, I'm not investing at all. To be quite honest, I'm not investing at all in my retirement accounts, but I'm not stressed about it at all, right? It's because I just that money is there, and that money is just gonna continue growing to be enough for me when I actually retire. So that's definitely Coastfy. What that gives you is really that peace of mind to just know that your future self for as far as your financial self goes, that is actually secure for retirement, because a lot of people today uh, don't they don't know, they don't have any money for retirement, they don't know how they're going to be figuring it out. And so just having that status of being able to say I'm close by, it's really peace of mind. And to me, I feel like it's an added bonus as we all kind of like all like growing and wanting to actually achieve things in life.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. And you said something, you've been investing for a while. We don't want to discourage anybody that you haven't been investing in a while, that you
Oh
can't
yeah.
reach that at all. But what gave you that initial um talking to your younger self, if you're thinking about it, what gave you that prompt to say, hey, I know I need to invest for something better in my future as a Black woman? Were you motivated by your peers? Was it instilled in you? What was the backdrop to that?
That's interesting that you're asking that. To be quite honest, not by peers at all. My friends were not At that age, young 20s, you don't find many people talking about, money or like investing. If we're talking about money, it's like, how are we going to spend it? Where are we going on vacation? All of those things.
Right.
Um, but I do think from a young age, I was almost forced to be a saver because money was not like like I come from what people would consider upper class family back in my home country in Benin, West Africa. However, at home we don't like parents were not talking that much about money, or if they were talking about money, it was really from a scarcity mindset. So that's one thing. The other thing is also when I was young, I will see women getting married, and unfortunately, if the marriage didn't work, they'll have to pack up their stuff and then go back to their family because really where they were living was the husband's house. And
Mhm.
so I vowed that that will never happen to me. And so for me, it was just like I need to make sure that regardless what happens in terms of my like I guess my love relationship, that I have my own money, so I don't really depend on it, someone providing for me. And
Right.
then the third thing I think is also when I actually started working. Unfortunately, so I went to school, I got a undergrad, and then I got a graduate degree. And so when I finished, I thought, that I'll be getting the big paid job
Right.
because, I have a master. Come and get
Right.
me,
Of course. The money is coming. Right. Right. Uh-huh.
That's what I was told. They say go to school, get the degrees, and you get the high paying job. But that didn't work like that. And
Hmm.
so I had, after a few months of searching for a job, I had to change my mind and be like, I'm just ready to take any job at this point because I have bills to pay. And I
Right.
ended up actually working at a call center for a bank. Really didn't need a master, didn't need an undergraduate for it, but at that point, I really didn't care.
Uh-huh.
But I'll say that essentially I learned a ton because I was getting inbound calls from
Mm.
people, and they had like different inquiries, but to be able to serve them, I needed to have access to the bank account. And then I'll see people making a lot of money by like being overdrawn in their account, relying on credit cards and using the line of credit. And I'll see people making like modest income but
Right.
being a better steward of their money. And so me young and seeing so many scenarios, then from a young age, I was just like, okay, first of all, it's not so much about how much you're making, but how much you're saving and investing.
Right.
And I realized that the earlier I could do it, I could start doing it, the better that I was gonna be essentially in the future. So that's really what actually got me into the whole investing. And when I started investing, I started with like guaranteed investment certificate. Here in Canada, we call them GIC. So
Hmm.
I didn't start like with stocks or like ETFs or mutual fund. I just started with something that I felt like more comfortable with. And then as I was getting more comfortable with the whole idea of investing, then I started investing in the stock market, into individual stocks to start with. But right now I'm shifting a little bit, and I'm more like focused on actually owning ETF. For me, it's like I've decided to simplify my investing
Uh-huh.
because I don't have that much time anymore to be reading financial statements for individual companies stocks. So I feel like it's just like better for me to be more into exchange traded funds at this point than individual stocks. So that's really what actually got me into investing, and I'm so passionate about it. I can talk your head off. I can talk all day until like I become livid. But yeah, because I really see the power of it.
Yeah.
And to actually reiterate what you just mentioned. Yeah, the best time to start investing was yesterday, but the next best time is definitely today. Any day for
I
you to start investing. Yeah.
I love that. And that brings me to my next question. I'm so glad you brought that up. So, what are some misconceptions that we in our community may have about wealth building? Because you mentioned about you working at the bank and you saw people with what you would consider a meager salary who had more money than people making a whole lot of money and stressed out financially. So, what are some misconceptions about wealth building, especially in our community, that you have
You know,
observed? Just
it's really an interesting question, and that's definitely something like with the summit that I'm really trying to address as much as possible,
yeah,
because I really feel like when it comes to money in the Black community, we just don't talk about it enough. Money is taboo in general. I'm not saying only for the Black community, but when it comes to the Black community, from my own upbringing and talking to my friends. like, a lot of us, we were raised and parents were not really talking about money with us, right? So we had to learn and make our own mistakes and whatnot. I just happened to be maybe exposed to it, at a younger age, and also being a sponge and being interested by it, right? Because I'm not saying
Mhm.
everybody who actually went through, call center at the bank will have learned so much about investing. Some people just, for them it's a job, and that's
Right.
pretty much it. But like the misconceptions, really, when you think about it, first of all, investing in the Black community, like people grasp the concept of saving, like
Mhm.
making money and saving, but
Right.
the notion of investing,
Mhm.
it's still a bit foreign. And sometimes people think,
Mm.
I need to become rich to invest. And I'm like, it's actually the other way around. You need to invest to actually become rich.
Good
All right.
point.
So, you're right. So they're like, no, when I'm going to be making the six figures, then I'll start investing. And
Uh-huh.
I'm like, no, start investing with the $40,000 salary you have right now, because you're already creating the habit of doing it. So then when you get into the high salary, it's normal for you to actually invest. Like, so that's definitely one misconception, which is essentially, I need to become rich before investing. And so the other thing is also, like, especially for Black women,
Mhm.
and depending on our upbringing, and I'm going to talk for myself. Like, I
Right.
was raised in a society where the man is the one making the money and managing the money to a
Okay.
certain extent.
Okay.
And so, most women, not that they don't know much about the money, but it's not really something that they actually, like, they know for the day to day, right? How much I need to go to the market and buy the food for the day. But, like, the whole aspect of building wealth long term, like investing for the long term, that's more something that, it's kind of like left to the men to deal with, right?
Mhm.
Which land are we gonna buy, all of those things.
Right.
So there is that too. And taking in consideration that today, more Black women working for themselves, and buying houses, doing all of this thing by themselves. Very important that we change that narrative, and being able to put ourselves also in the driver's seat when it comes to our future financial self, and making sure that we actually investing, because we're not going to be saving our way to building wealth. We need to invest. That's kind of like the way it goes. That's how people become wealthy. You need to actually do the whole investing part. So yeah, I think that when we talk about misconceptions,
Mhm.
those are the two things that will come to mind.
Thank you for pointing that out. You can't save your way to wealth, right? And people feel like they can't invest, and you can't get rich by not investing in some
Yeah.
form or fashion, whatever that looks like for you. And
Mhm.
having said that, what are some practical ways people can get started with investing? For example, some people may feel like it's an aloof idea to start investing. Like you mentioned, you need a whole bunch of money to invest, but you really don't.
No, you don't. Especially today. Maybe, I don't know, 30 years ago, you needed to have, a certain amount of capital to start. But
Right.
today, most investing platform, you have like $20, you can start investing. And so I do coach people, who actually are interested to start investing, or some who started but they stopped, or, like, they're not too sure of it.
Right.
And what I realized is, like, sometimes we actually put the barriers ourselves. And investing is the most simple thing. It's
Mhm.
You open the brokerage account, you set up the automatic contribution, how much is going to be, what is the frequency, and then you decide in what exactly you're going to be buying. And what I tell beginner investor, and that is very important, and that's because I've seen it a lot in my coaching. People
Mhm.
come and they're excited. Well, they're not excited, but I mean, they know they need to invest.
Uh-huh.
Eventually, I'm going to get them excited about investing. And now they're like, yeah, so um, I think I'm going to buy, this company stocks because people are talking about it on Reddit, or like you. And so, but I'm like, do you realize the work that comes with it, right? Because if you're going to be buying an individual stock, you need to be comfortable reading financial statement and know the financial ratio. If you look at the PE ratio, which is a two. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? You need to be able on earning calls and listen to what management is saying. You need to be able to look at what they're projecting. Does that make sense? How is the industry doing? What are the competitors doing? It's a lot of time, right? So you cannot go from not investing to wanting to buy like an individual stock, and there is work that comes with it, and most people are not comfortable doing it. For me, my undergrad was in finance. I did financial analysis for a long time in my career,
Hmm.
for companies buying like airplanes, we're talking about millions and millions of dollars. I was
Right.
reviewing financial statements. For me, I could do it, and I did it a lot before having the kids. But now that I have the kids, I don't have the time to be on any earning calls or like going through financial statement, trying to understand the notes and all of those things, or looking at comparison and things like that. So I've decided to switch. So I tell people, don't
Hmm.
make it hard for yourself to start when it comes to investing.
Okay.
The individual stocks are going to be there any day. Start with something simple. Start with a basket of stocks. Start with an exchange traded fund or ETF, or start with a mutual fund. I personally recommend ETFs, but some people are more comfortable with mutual funds.
Hmm.
But start with that. And as you just like get comfortable just with the idea of like, contributing periodically to your investment, then eventually you'll be like, okay, you know what? I really like this company. I think they're going places. Let me just start reading, but like very casual, right? And what I tell people, especially when it comes to individual stock, do paper trading for a while, right? So you don't
Mm.
have to be buy right away with your own money. You can
Okay.
do paper, you can do paper trading, and that gives you a bit of that will give you time to just like get a better feeling of what it is to be owning an individual stock. And if really you want to go ahead and be like, I know this company is going to the moon, I don't want to miss it,
Right.
then
Right.
don't make it a big portion of your portfolio, at least at the beginning, right? Don't make
Right.
individual stocks like 90% of your portfolio, because then you're not diversifying at all. And if something happens and one of the some of those companies they take a hit, that's going to impact your portfolio, versus if you were, let's say, 90% in ETFs, where in terms of impact on your portfolio, it will be a bit less. So just to I know I spoke a lot, but just to recap,
Yeah.
it's very simple. You decide which brokerage you want to be with. You open your brokerage account. It's so easy right now. A lot of platforms that make it easy for you to open it. You can link your bank account, so then they know how much they're taking at which frequency, and then you identify which what I mean which essentially instrument you want to buy. My recommendation, again, I'm not a financial advisor, financial planner, but my recommendation, when you start with something simple like an ETF or mutual fund, and eventually you can make it more complex down the road. Yeah.
Yeah. But wow, you gave us a wealth of information just to ease the angst or stress or the mental anxiety people may have about getting started. And you mentioned about trading, or is it day trading, or if I heard you correctly, is that similar to like Thinkorswim platform where you can actually go in there and practice day trading? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, so I would not suggest day trading for anyone starting
Okay.
new to investing. I will not suggest, because, and again, there is a difference between trading and investing.
Right.
Trading, there is a gamble aspect to it, right? Because you're doing trading because you feel like the price is going to change within a very short period of time.
Right.
Compared to investing, you actually have a long-term approach to it, right? Because you're investing for 20, 30, 40 years in the future. So the way you're going to be doing your investing is totally different. So those are really two different things. But any new investor that has never really bought anything on the stock market, personally, I will not suggest day trading, except if you really get, you do a course on that, or you have someone coaching you for
Yes.
that. But that's really different from building wealth. I personally, because when you day trade, you may make money, a lot of money in the short period of time. Then you still need to figure out what you're going to be doing with that money, and to be building the wealth, eventually you have to invest it, because you cannot be doing day trading all the time. That money needs to be used also for something eventually. So some people do day trading, and then if it works for them, then they turn around and they take that money, and then they invest it for the long term.
Right. So you're really about investing for the long term. You
Mm.
This is what you recommend.
Yes.
Um,
And the reason why is also because of the generational wealth aspect.
right.
Today, in the next, I believe I've read in the next 10 to 15 years, there's going to be a massive transfer of wealth because of the, baby boomers, massive transfer of wealth. But Black community, we're not gonna get that much of it, right? Because when you think about it, I mean, my parents didn't grow up in North America, but if you take the Black people, baby boomers here in North America, like they were fighting for their lives when they were actually, our age, and they had so many things to think of, like at a just to survive, leave alone, them thinking about building the wealth. So at the end of the day, that massive transfer, there's not much that's going to be happening within the Black community. And so we find ourselves at each generation having to start over and get again from scratch. And that is not conducive to um, you know building wealth on a at a sustainable level. And so
Mhm.
that's why for me, I really, when it comes to investing, I'm adopting a long-term approach, because first of all, your golden years, you don't have to be working until you're 70, 80 to pay your bills, because you have already done the work when you were younger. But also that you have that, you don't have to, if you don't want to, but
Right.
that you have that capacity to pass the wealth on to your heirs, right? So if that's something that you want to do, so then they're not starting from scratch. And if you do it the right way, I even say it's not only you passing to the next generation, but you have to adopt the mindset that your wealth needs to go 3 generations down. And if generation can do that, well, that
Mhm.
becomes such a huge, huge snowball of wealth that is going to be making the life of the next generation much easier.
Right, absolutely. I thank you for pointing that out, and that's why you're passionate about what you do. And so I want to get into the upcoming summit that you have coming up. If you can um, talk about what got you started with wanting to do a summit. You did one last year, right? What prompted you to say, "Hey, okay, I'm out here and these YouTube, the social media, I'm sharing about building wealth. We need to have a summit. We need to we need to bring together some wonderful Black women minds together to really form this community to
Mhm,
share about
mhm.
building wealth, our individual and collective knowledge to help each other." So with that, go ahead and talk about what started. I'm put some information on the screen for about that.
So, Danny, I've had this idea for at least, I'll say, 5 years.
Okay.
I've had the idea for at least 5 years, and
Okay.
life has been happening. I haven't been really serious about it. And last year, I think I had a moment where I was like, listen, you have to try,
Right.
so then you can say, whether it works or no. And I remember I was actually talking to the first Black woman that I wanted to have on the summit. We were having the conversation in August. And
Okay.
so in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna start planning now. So I have the first edition in 2024. We were in 2023 at that point. So I was talking to her, it was Tanisha Matthews. She's the one, she did a session on credit cards last year at the summit. And so I
Okay.
was talking to her because I wanted to present the idea to her and have her as a speaker.
Okay.
And so I said, yeah, Tanisha, I really appreciate your expertise about credit cards. And this is a real issue that, the society in general, but also Black people we have. And so would you mind being a speaker? And she's like, oh, when would you want to organize that? I'm like, you know what? It's money related. So I would like to do it in November, which is Financial Literacy Month for
Okay.
us here in Canada. So I said, oh, November. In my head, I was thinking November 2024. She's like, oh, November. Oh yeah, my calendar is quite open. And then I realized she was talking about November 2023. And I was about to stop her and be like, sorry, I didn't mean November this year, but November next year. And then, you know what? I felt like God told me, he's like, and then what, why not? Why not?
Uh-huh.
And so I just let her continue. And from there on, I'm like, okay, I have 3 months to
Okay.
organize this summit.
Okay.
So my timeline went from like a year to just 3 months, and I
Okay.
was like, I'll give it all. I'll do my best. and I'll see what comes out of it. And so, honestly, in my book, it was a success because I'm so grateful. Most of the speakers, the first time I approached them and I presented the idea to them, they said, "Yes, this is a fantastic idea.
Right.
We are coming." Because honestly, to be quite honest, we don't have anything like that right now for Black
Mm.
women, like a
Okay.
summit where we can get together, talk about making money, managing money, and then investing for the long term. We don't have a summit like that for Black women. And so
Mm.
I was really surprised, like pleasantly surprised to see like how many people we actually had attending the summit. And even people really asking me, are you going to be doing this next year?
Hmm.
And then I said yes, because in my mind I already said, by that point I was like, I'm going to try this each year for the next 3 years, and then at the end of the third year I'll just look at it and and then decide if that's something that I want to continue or if I want to change the format, because right now it's virtual, which to me, I feel like it also allows, Black women from everywhere in the world to join. But also people do appreciate having also in-person connections. So that's something that I was like, maybe eventually we may have something like in person, but this year is going to remain virtual.
Hmm.
And in my mind, I already knew that I will be doing a summit this year. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Now, having said that, I've scrolled across the screen. So, for those of you who are watching or watch the replay, you can register for the November 16th, 2024 summit, and the link is in the description. And could you run down what they could expect from the summit, dear?
So honestly, I'll say grab your coffee, be awake.
So let's start with the time frame. So it's all
And
day. It's all day
yes,
summit.
yes. So
Okay.
it is an all-day summit, and I've
Okay.
decided to do it like that. I could have done it over 2 days.
Mhm.
However, for me, I just realized people are busy with their lives. I'm busy with my life as well.
Right.
I don't think I could commit right now to be running a summit myself over 2 days. So everything is on one day. We start early at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We start with a yoga session. And
Okay.
so that will help for whomever can join to really put you in that, like that mindset for what's actually coming. So you really relax and zen when we actually start the session. So the sessions themselves will start at 9 a.m. and then we go all the way to 6 p.m. At 6 p.m., we have Zoom sessions. So the Zoom sessions, we really the idea behind the Zoom session is really to give space for the participants or those who want to connect. Because one thing that I really want people to keep in mind for this
Mhm.
summit is action oriented. So this is really where you come and you grab the information for
Mhm.
you to turn around and implement right away to see the results in your finances. And one thing that I will suggest also is find an accountability partner the
Okay.
day of the summit, and the Zoom session will help for that. Of course the chat during the session also can help, but like the Zoom will be good, right? Because then you can see people's face and then their names, you can interact with them. Find at least one accountability partner for you, to implement whatever you want to implement from that summit. And then at 7 p.m. we have the keynote speaker, and then the summit ends at 8 p.m. So that's really what it is. So technically it's from 7 a.m. all the way to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Wonderful. Now, can you tell us about the speakers you got lined up? Uh, Touch
Sure.
on it. Uh huh.
So the lineup is not finalized yet. However, the speakers that are already on the site. So I am a speaker myself. I actually start the day with Coach Malika. So Coach Malika, she's also a money coach like me, and so we'll be talking about what we think is the most important retirement account that we should be having. I'll be speaking from my perspective here in Canada. She'll be speaking from her perspective in the US, and then also in terms of people over the remaining speakers, we have Teen Zekis, and Teen, she's her thing is to get Black women paid. And I'm so excited to have her come, because one thing that I realized even for myself
Hmm.
is when it comes time to price my services, I
Hmm.
struggle. And I'm always like, am I pricing too high? Am I pricing too low? And then
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, okay, so it's really hard. I don't know for you, but for me, and even with talking to other Black women who have like businesses, whether it is like physical product or digital product,
Mm-hmm.
it's always a struggle. So
Mm-hmm.
team is gonna help us to, first of all, for us who have like businesses, to be able to have a strategy to come up with the price which makes sense for us, and and also for the customers that we are serving. But she'll also be talking about, from a perspective of someone who works in a company like me. I still have my full-time job. It's like, how do you talk about, how do you actually talk about, getting a raise, or like asking to be paid your worth, right? So
Right.
really looking forward to her session. And then I also have Asia Evans. So Asia, she's a financial therapist, and she's going to be talking about the money mindset, which is also
Mm.
something that is very important for us Black women. And so her session is called Empowered Women and Their Money. And so
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
totally looking forward to that.
Uh-huh.
um, One session that I want to highlight here is the session by Vanessa Meles.
Okay.
And so Vanessa, she's an expert in what we call a tontine. And I kept
Hmm.
the name that we have in French because I'm not sure what is the equivalent in English. But
Okay.
technically, a tontine is something that our ancestors, they have had back in the days when they didn't have access to financial institution, which is
Right.
essentially where, a group of people come together, they contribute a certain amount of money, and then that become like a pot. Someone takes that pot this month, the next month is another person, and they do that rotation until
Right.
everybody has collected the pot. I'm actually part of a tontine group right now. And so I think we are like, I'm not sure, like 20 people, and each person contribute 500. I mean, the pot is like $10,000 per month. So each month someone takes $10,000 from the contribution from everybody.
Wow.
And people use that. Back in the days, people will use that to, buy houses, education for their kids, and even up to today, right? Even for us, we feel like our tontine is a big pot of money. People have that, and the monthly pot is like $100,000 each month, right?
Wow.
So it's like, and so for them, you have that trust-based relationship, and I haven't met anyone that is actually part of my group. As a matter of fact, Vanessa and I, we have never met. We have known each other for 4 or 5 years. She's the one who actually introduced me to the group. I already knew the concept, coming from Africa. I was really
Right.
familiar with that. But I feel like, for us, especially Black women, we like community-based initiative like that. And
Wow.
so I feel like it's something that we can leverage as we are actually trying to achieve things, whether it is buying a car, having a down payment for a house,
Right.
getting some money, even, to go on a trip, and then you come back, and then you know that essentially for the next whatever 5, 6 months, you continue contributing to the pot. You don't have to put it on your credit card, you don't have to be paying interest, you don't have to be asking anyone for a loan. Why not, right? So I want to bring her to talk about that, so people can maybe see also, like, another way of actually having some cash flow for something that they will want to do, essentially. So that's Vanessa. And then also I'll have Bisola. So Bisola, she's a Canadian. She lives here in Toronto, not here, but she lives in Canada, in Toronto.
Uh-huh.
And she's probably the youngest of the people we
We
have.
meet
I
all
thought,
age ranges. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I know, but I thought that she was actually a Gen Z, but she said that she's a millennial. I think she's very like I'll say a very young millennial. But she's out here. Her name on YouTube is Wiz Queen. And honestly, I came across her. You know how YouTube is, right? Like, the more
Right.
type of thing you listen, then
Push stuff
the
through to
platform,
you. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So I
Uh-huh.
came across a platform like that because she does talk about finance, business, and travel. And I'm into finance, and I'm into, I guess, the three of them, to be quite honest. And
Mhm.
so she is honestly, like, when it comes to social media, and how to make money from social media, she's a master at it. And
Wow.
I know her session, she's going to be touching on how to leverage AI to make money on social media. And
Okay.
I mean, isn't it what we're talking about today? Everybody's talking about AI this, AI that. And so we don't want to be left behind when it comes
Right.
to how to be making, to leverage AI to make money on social media. A lot of us are out here on social media, and a lot of us are expecting to make money from social media. let's make sure that we are using, the most newest tools to be able to do that. So, so
Right.
she'll come and talk about that. So I'm quite excited for that. And then I have two sessions that are being given by Black women who own their own businesses. Actually, all of those that I've talked about, they own their own business. But the one that I want to bring up here. So one of them is Anatel Zamor. So Anatel, she's a psychotherapist. She used to work in a hospital, and then she decided that she was going to be working for herself. So
Okay.
she's going to talk about, doing that transition from being an employee to actually
Mm,
owning your own business in that particular, as a psychotherapist, right? Because that's also something that it's a bit different, that from maybe other lines of work. And the other one is Debbie Macaria. So Debbie, she owns a physical store, and so I
mm,
know, yeah. So that's another. It comes with another dimension, maybe things that, as a digital owner, like, you wouldn't think of her because she has a physical store. There's certain things that she needs to keep in mind. And again, she'll come, and what she wants to focus on is really the challenges of building a small business, and especially and share what are the challenges that she encountered as a Black woman building that business, and how she actually overcame them. And so I think that's pretty much the lineup for now. I'm still in discussion with some speakers, because
okay.
there's a bit of a gap in the schedule.
Uh-huh.
But the site is there. Most of the speakers are already there. The early bird ticket is until end of September. Our keynote speaker, though, Danny, if I may, our keynote speaker,
Sure.
I was, you know what? I thought that she would be the hardest to actually give me her yes. And her
Uh-huh.
yes was so quick that I had to read my message 2 times or 3 times just to
Okay.
make sure. She just sent me yes. She didn't, she was like, I was like, wait a second.
Right,
So
right, right.
anyway, so her name is Gwen Madiba. And honestly, she's well known here in the region.
Okay.
And honestly, if you read her bio, this is a phenomenal woman. And honestly, I cannot be. Um, I was so happy when she said yes to be a keynote speaker. She'll be just. She's really. I feel like she's the perfect person that's going to be able to wrap up all the sessions together, and put a bow on it, and then send us off to be able to actually apply everything, and come back the following year with you know better news when it comes to our wealth building.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Wonderful. You have a fun, like you said, phenomenal woman, but a phenomenal lineup
Yeah.
of Black women who are going to bring it and show up and show out. So
Yeah.
it sounds like by the time you leave, what you didn't know, you would definitely get some gems and some nuggets that you can take hold to and run with to help
Hmm.
you to be successful in whatever endeavor that you intending to go forth with,
Yeah.
right? And you made a good point about you were talking about one of your guests is going to be talking about how to price your products, your digital products, and yes, I have struggles like, well, how do you price it so that you don't price out? You want for the audience that you're trying to reach, or the people you feel like
Mm.
could really utilize what you have, and so I get it. I totally get it. So for those of you who may have something and you might think, well, am I worth that much? Will people pay that much? But you have to think about it's a totally different mindset. And obviously, they're going to help you to think about what value you bring to whatever it is that you present, be it a
Mhm.
business, a digital product, a
Exactly.
service, whatever the case might be.
Mhm.
So I love that you're going to talk about not only the financial piece, but the mindset piece and the mental piece,
Mhm. Mhm.
because
Yeah.
our relationship with money is important. I talked to you about this before. Having that relationship with your money is key also. How do you relate to money?
Yeah.
You know, what
Mhm.
was your upbringing about it? And how do you think about it now, and comparing the two, and perhaps some hurdles that you may need to go through or get
Mhm.
over in order to bring that prosperity on, okay?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's something that you don't think about. It's like, oh, I want a business or what have you. But then you start really digging deep. It's like, wait a minute. How am I about finances?
Mm-hmm,
How do
mm-hmm.
I accept it? How do I circulate it? Whatever the case may be. Am I a good receiver of money? Because sometimes that
Exactly.
can be
Yeah.
a
Am I
hindrance.
good? Am I a good steward of money? When it comes to money, am I thinking I don't have enough, or like do I have enough? When it comes to money, am I thinking I can make more, or like I can't make more? And all of that is going to be playing into you being able to build the wealth. So when we think about building the wealth, a lot of time, and I'm a number person, we
Right.
we tend to go toward the number, but there is that foundational aspect that are really important. That is also the whole mindset, behaviors that are going to be honestly making or breaking our whole wealth building journey. So I think Asia's session is going to be very enlightening from that perspective.
Wow. It sounds phenomenal, and you're not even done yet with the lineup. So I know it's going to be absolutely amazing. And
Thank
some of the
you.
feedback that you got from last year, if you can share about what were some of the takeaways that they had.
So last year, so first of all, people were really excited that we actually have a Canadian-based summit because
Okay.
that's just what it is. And though I'll say probably the participant was like 50% mainly from Canada and 50% from the US. But in the comments, people are like, you know what? First of all, we don't have something like that for Black women, but I'm actually very happy that this is actually Canadian based.
Yeah.
And people say, I think also one comment that I got a lot from the summit last year was people could really tell that the speakers had the expertise in what they were talking about, right?
Mm,
So I think that's really important, especially for us Black women, right? So if
mhm.
I'm going to be sitting here and listening to you,
Yeah.
what exactly is your expertise? And so people, and for me that's important. Like I've been thinking since last year, since the end of the summit last year, I've been thinking of my speakers who I would like to have for this year's summit. So I had like almost a year to think of that. And yes, there are some people that I actually asked and they say no. But for
Mhm.
me, it's like a no for now. Eventually, hopefully, I can have them for the summit because I have to be also keep in mind that
Mhm.
some speakers that maybe that I want are at a level of compensation right now that I cannot afford, right? So
Okay.
eventually, when the summit will become bigger, I'll have more means. Then I'll be able to actually have those speakers. But yeah, so people also enjoyed. We had the Zoom session last year. That's why I'm bringing them again this year, and people really enjoyed them. Just being able to be in like breakout rooms with Black women who are also interested to talk about the whole building wealth, making the money, and the way I organized the Zoom sessions last year.
Mhm.
They were essentially so let's say if we had like 8 sessions, they
Mhm.
were identified to each session. So they had like a Zoom room on credit cards. There was a Zoom room on like building a business, a Zoom room on how to make sure you get paid first when you have a business, all of those things. So and then the speakers who were able to attend the Zoom session, they were in those particular room. So if you were going in that room, you will see the speaker, and maybe if you have some question for the speaker
Right.
can help you with that. And so yeah, and it's funny because someone also said that they felt like yeah, it was a full day of information, but it was like it flowed so well that they felt like it was like a retreat. And to
Uh,
me, I felt like wow, because you go on a retreat, you come back, you feel rejuvenated, like
right.
relaxed, ready to go back into things. So it was a good honestly, the comments were quite and I think also getting that type of feedback was also a good indication for me that people wanted to have this again and will be interested to attend the summit again this year. So that's why I really wanted to make sure that we're doing another year again.
Awesome. And you built a community after that as well for the summit, right?
Yeah, I did. I did not do a good job at it because
Mhm.
we do have a private Facebook group.
Mhm.
Um, and we also, well, yeah, we have a private Facebook group. And for me, I have to say that I haven't been really that active in the group just yet. That's something that definitely this year I'll need to change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, last year I was ending my mat leave. Then I went back to work earlier this year, and then the whole routine of having kids in daycare, pick up and drop off. My head was into a lot of other things.
I
Um,
understand.
but but there is the Facebook group, same name, the
Mhm.
Wealthy Black Women Summit. So if anyone wants to join, you can send me a request to join. Please make sure to have a profile picture so I can make sure that you're a Black woman. Um, that's just something that I need to make sure before allowing people to join the group. But it is a growing community. I'll put it like that.
Absolutely, and we understand it be life and life goes on. But you have that space, which brings me to the question about what role do you see community and networking playing in building wealth, especially for our community?
Oh, huge, huge. So I was personally able to achieve what I actually achieved because I had a community, not of
Mm,
Black women, not of Black people, but I had a community of
here.
people who were
Okay.
interested to do the same thing.
Okay.
I was in a community of people who actually were seeking financial independence, which I'm still seeking
Right.
as well. So then they could make work optional for them. That's
Okay.
essentially the idea behind it. Even if they will not retire early, at least they'll know that they have that option if they actually wanted to. And for
Right.
me, if I did not have that community of people, I know it would have been harder because
Mm,
essentially it just happens that essentially my close friends or like my family, this is not something we talk about, or if we talk about it because I'm the one bringing up the subject,
right.
and then eventually I'm the only one talking, and I feel like I'm downloading information on people, and that's not what you want, right? So
Right.
if you're in a community of people who have the same interests, then it really feeds you, it motivates you.
Yeah.
And those are the people that I was going to with my questions, and I was part of the Facebook group and the WhatsApp group, whichever group that I feel like it was actually value added for me.
Okay.
But I really and that applies to anything that you want to do in life, right? So I'm on YouTube here. You're part of my YouTube community, along
Yes.
with so many other YouTube content creators here. And I feel like you putting out videos is a good motivation for me also, and it actually incentivized me also to put out video. If I didn't have any community, me, I disappear for months, right? So I was
I,
gone.
I, I hunted you down, didn't I? I stalked you.
And then if I didn't have you come back and be like, listen, I give you until end of July to put a video. I don't know what's going on, but put a video out. And so, that's the community will bring that accountability piece, which is so crucial. And you will think that because we know that doing this is really important for us, you think that we can do that. As we know brushing teeth is important, everybody brush their teeth, but like, I'm like, oh, it's okay. I don't do a video this week. I'll do next week. Right? And so the community is so so powerful, and that's why I'm really going to be be more intentional of building the Wealthy Black Women Summit Facebook group, because once the summit is over, last year, unfortunately, that's what happened. Unfortunately, I didn't really follow up properly. And
Mhm.
so maybe some people, they felt like, they felt a bit left out, right? Because they're like, oh,
Okay.
I got so much, but where do I go? Like, how do I make this happen? And then you start doing it, but then you're on your own. And so I want to make sure that, once the summit is over this year, people know they have, like, black women know they have a place where they can go to be with other Black women who are also interested in doing the same thing, and they can talk about that and get information, and and really grow together that way. So to answer your question, huge, the role of a community in really helping achieving the whole wealth building, it's very important. And the fact that we're going to be in community as Black women, we're going to be talking about things that are really specific to us, that
Okay.
most likely other people cannot get, that are really that are actually detrimental to us building the wealth. And so when
Okay.
you talk about it in that safe space, we know where you're coming from because probably we have been through that. And so someone can jump in and be like, when I was in this situation, this is how I made it happen. And so I think it's important to really make the space for that community and make sure that the community is actually helping people grow.
Oh, I love that. When you were talking, I said, well, that feels like a warm financial hug, when you're having, you know, um, you're talking about community and the success stories, because those make a difference as well. When you have community and you can share each other's success stories, you can share each other's trials, you can share each other's whatever situation is, so you can garner from each other and say, oh, okay, um, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. And when you hear um, us being successful and you're saluting, and I love that because we're celebrating.
Yeah.
You're celebrating one another. It's not about competition or anything like that. You're actually happy that your sisters are out here doing their thing and showing up and showing out. You're like, all right, you're cheering them on.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
And at the same time that you're cheering them on, it's also it's that's actually also motivating you too, because you're like, oh my God, that person did it, that means I can do it. It's just like it's so amazing because you literally feeding off that energy. And so I think it's very important to have that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're in community, it makes all the difference in the world. And you mentioned
It does.
about if you're not in a space where you can talk about finances from the person to your left, to your right, family, whomever, it can feel it can feel a little isolating. Like, well, who do
Yeah.
I talk to about that? Who do I feel comfortable talking to about my situation or what have you, where they
Mhm.
will understand or be like, okay, and what you want me to do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And not give you any sort of constructive feedback, particularly if they haven't been in that situation themselves and they honestly, may not just know what to say
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No.
because maybe they haven't even examined their own money story and how it relates to them building wealth. So you just never know.
Yeah. And the other thing that I've realized also, and that's why I say, very important to have the community. Money is triggering. Money is triggering
Mm,
for people.
okay.
Um, you will think that, because it's something that is so part of our life, to such a, I don't know, like extensive level, people will be more comfortable talking about it. But, it's not really something that most people are looking forward to be talking about. And so when you are someone like me who can have, a 3 hour conversation on
Right.
just the subject of money management. And I'm not saying that, everybody has to be comfortable with that, but
Right.
most people are not, right? And so you need to be able to read the room. And when you have to bring up subject like that, but having a community, we already know why we're here for, right? So this is what is bringing us together.
Right.
So there is that kind of like remove the whole taboo aspect, or like I mean, maybe that doesn't remove the triggering aspect, but it just provides a space for people to come and just like and allow themselves to be able to share, at whichever whatever they want to share,
Right.
without any there is no without anyone telling them, why are you talking about this, and nobody's interested, because this is actually why we're here. It's just so
Right.
different.
It's like, why are you bringing that up? Right. Uh-huh.
Right.
Uh, oh,
This is
wow.
why we're here.
Exactly. And you said a word there, triggering. And so
Mhm.
how do you mentioned on your channel, I think you did a video most recently. How do you balance the pursuit of obtaining wealth, but like your self-care, your mental health, while you're in the process, while you're in the journey in order
Mhm.
to get there? Because that can be stressful in itself, because sometimes you feel like, well, depending on the person, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's
It
something
is.
that you continually work at. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is definitely a marathon, and that's why, When I talk about investing, I'm not talking about anyone getting rich overnight. It's going to be long term. And so as much as I enjoy talking about money and building wealth and everything, also recognize this is just one aspect of our life.
Yes.
I do agree that, it does impact other aspects of our life because money anxiety is a real thing. Money stress is a real thing. Not being able to pay your bills, living paycheck to paycheck is going to have an impact on your physical health, on your
Yes.
mental health. It's going to have an impact on that. So I do agree. However, at the end of the day, money is just one aspect of our life. So one thing for me, that I've been doing,
Mhm.
and I shared that on my channel already, is like, with the kids and everything and the additional costs and everything, I actually found myself in debt, being in a situation where honestly I've never I've never been. I don't know debt I don't know debt at that level. I've always been very, very mindful of the way that I actually manage my money. I've had credit cards, but I always pay them in full each month, like
Right.
all of that. So, but having to get into debt at this stage of my life, it's really something that I've had to come to terms with, and being able to uh, just give myself grace and be like, this is not from, I mean, yes, for my own doing, but just to say,
Right. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Right.
but I did not, I mean, why is daycare so expensive to start with? Like, how much sense does that make?
Mhm.
But just to say also that this is also a season. It's
Right.
just a season. They shall pass. The kids are not gonna be in daycare forever. And eventually I figure out how to make more money to pay the debt. So
Right.
money definitely does impact a lot of aspects of our life, but I really want to remind people, and I do that a lot when I do coaching, because I can tell people are so tense, their shoulders are like this, we're talking,
Mm.
and I say, let's just take 5 minutes break and just breathe here, breathe in and breathe out, because we're giving too much. Let's not give too much power to that tool. It's a tool. At the end of the day, it's just a tool that we are given
Mhm.
to use in any way that you would like to. So very important that to keep that in mind. Yeah.
Awesome. I thank you very much for sharing that, because sometimes I feel like people feel like if the only way they can talk about money is if they have money and don't have any money problems whatsoever. And that's simply not true. And you
No,
want to
that's
help
true. Yeah.
people get to the mindset or comfort level, if they're not already there, to talk about it, work through it mentally and emotionally, to get them to the place where they want to be
Mm-hmm.
and their goals.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Understanding that money, like you said, is just a tool and it's not the end all be all. Understanding perhaps lack thereof and or misuse or not being a good steward of it can cause
mm-hmm.
some stress and some anxiety
Yeah.
and what have you, and like I started off at the beginning, it can cause those physical and emotional things that you it just aren't good for your health in
Yeah.
the long term. So I thank
Mm-hmm.
you for bringing that point up. So
You're welcome.
um, as we end this live, I thank you for being here. Is any parting words that you want to share about the summit or your appeal to our community about building wealth that you would want them to know that we haven't covered already?
Mm,
Anything about this?
I guess
Go
I
ahead.
guess I just want to say that I'm very conscious that this summit is going to be asking time, right? So it's a huge time commitment. Of
Mhm.
course, you need to get your pass, which is money, but like it's also time commitment. And so I will strongly encourage, if you're going to be getting the pass, to make an effort to attend as many sessions as you can, especially if you're only getting the day pass. If you're getting the VIP pass, then you have the replay. But the idea of also being able to attend the sessions live give you that opportunity to ask questions, to also interact with other participants. And at the end of the day, it's just more fun to be able to attend a live than listening to a recording after. And the reality is, a lot of us, will
Hmm.
not go back to that recording because life is gonna continue. So you need to be intentional about, having that time in the calendar where you be like, okay, I'm going to be listening to the recordings of the summit. So because I know this is going to be also a huge time commitment, like the speakers that I'm bringing, I know that they're going to be delivering. And so I really want to encourage for people who are listening, if you're a Black woman, of course, and making money and building wealth is something that essentially is important for you, I'll strongly suggest you get your pass and also you commit to be there and attend as many sessions as you can the day of. That'll be really what I would like to share, because I think sometimes also, we're like, oh, I'm gonna get the pads, and eventually I'll attend maybe one or two sessions, and eventually I'll listen to the recording. You may get some value from it, but from my perspective, and also because I've attended other summits, I feel like the summit that I'm at, I mean, the event, the virtual event that I'm actually there,
Hmm.
uh, to the sessions that are happening, I feel like I get much more value from it than, when after I go back and listen to the recording. That is, if I go back to listen to the recording. So again, the early bird ticket until end of September.
Hmm.
Uh, and so after that, the price will go up, and the lineup also, like I say, I'm missing maybe a couple of speakers, but otherwise, it's quite finalized, and I'm excited. I can't just wait for the day off. It's going to be a busy time leading to that, of course. Danny, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because you're such a gem, and you are such a gem, and
Oh,
I'm just so
me?
so grateful. Honestly, I'm so grateful that we happen to be in the same, the YouTube challenge that we did together, and then we somehow found each other as accountability partners. It's been 2 years and a half now that we have been accountability partners in really, keeping each other accountable to still be out here on YouTube and sharing videos. And you have been, honestly, you know, I, I- I'm sure I've told you, but I would just want to reiterate that, me still being here on YouTube, you definitely have a big part in that, because you don't let me out easy. It's like it's like, I understand you, however, you still, you still need to show up, woman. And so, and I take that honestly always as love, such a, care and love, because you know how important it is for me to actually be here and sharing,
Hmm.
and you helped me make it happen. And again, you were the first one that I've approached to actually comment on their platform and talk about the summit, and it was like an automatic yes. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for being here for me.
Oh, you know what? It is my absolute pleasure, and ditto for you. You, I thank you for being or accepting me as your accountability partner in this space. It is my absolute pleasure. I salute you, my sister, for what you're doing from the bottom of my heart. I know just as last year was successful, this is going to be successful and many more to come.
Thank
I'm
you.
blessed that you reach women who, might not even know that they needed it,
Hmm.
but they
Hmm.
leave with so much gem and so much love and community that they go out and thrive. And they
Yeah,
be telling everybody about it. Like, I went to that
exactly.
woman Black Women Summit and it got me started, got me on the road. So I
Oh,
know and I bless it will be a huge success. I already know it is going to be. And so again, those of you who want to register, and if you're not a Black woman yourself, sponsor a Black woman. Maybe you know a Black
good
woman,
idea. Good idea.
sponsor one. You can give a gift
Hmm.
for a Black woman that you may know who may be interested. You never know. Gifting is
Hmm.
always a good thing. And what better gift to give someone to say, hey, I want to invest in you. I want to invest in you to see you thrive and do whatever it is that you want to do, right? So
Hmm.
So where can they find you? I know you're on YouTube as Black Women Build Wealth. How else would you like for them to communicate with you if they want to reach out to you?
Well, I honestly, I think YouTube is really the best the place. And of course, the Wafi Black Women Summit, we do have an inbox if you guys want to send any inquiry. But yeah, the YouTube is really, I'm still working on developing my other platforms, but that's still in the works. So YouTube is probably where you will catch me if there is anything that you want to share.
Yes, so on YouTube, you are her name handle right there. Black Women Build Wealth. You can
Exactly.
see all her latest videos. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Share if you haven't already shared. Share the information. We link to the summit in the chat. And touch and reach. What is the expression? Reach and teach,
Yeah,
right?
reach and teach. Exactly. Yeah.
Reach and teach a sister who know that could use this information. Either send them one of Sam's videos. Say, here, listen to this. You
Yeah,
know,
like I like to say for the thing, I'm like, grab your ticket and tell a friend to tell a friend. So you come just with, like, with two other people at this particular summit. You also make it like, a friends event, right? Like, not only you are participating, but you also get like two of your friends to join the summit.
yes, absolutely. And so, Sam, with that being said, I thank you so very much for
Thank
honoring
you.
me to allow me to present your summit. Be the first person to share with the world. And so, if you're watching now, if you watch the replay, please share and let us know that you were here, and comment and go on Sam's YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. And if you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up and be sure to share. And as always, like I like to say on my channel, let us continue to learn, grow, and share together naturally. So until next time, beloveds, God bless you and I love you.
Good
Bye
evening,
bye for now.
everyone.
Thank you. Oh.